Two.
All right, welcome. I'm so excited because I'm having an amazing conversation with a special guest, Mathilda. And we're going to be talking about her health journey and what she has discovered on it and where she is now. And so, yeah, I would love for you to, well, I should also say that Mathilda is the one and only Mathilda of Mathildas. If you are local in the Durham region, you know what Mathildas is. It's a plant-based restaurant, but this is the Mathilda behind Mathildas.
Hello.
Amazing. So how long have you had the restaurant?
This August will be 7 years.
Amazing.
So coming up
Okay.
years, yeah.
And then what were you doing prior to that?
Oh, what wasn't I doing? So I had a wellness center yoga studio as well in Whitby. At the same time that I started. So when I had that, and then I started the restaurant. So I was doing both at the same time. But before I opened the restaurant, I was doing the yoga studio as well as work for a corporate pharmacy, Shoppers Drug Mart. So, and then before that, I was pretty much in healthcare, like, frontline community care, nursing homes, things like that. That was my background. My background is psychology and gerontology. So
Wow.
that's specialty. Alzheimer's, dementia, that's like one of my biggest passions. And
And now you get to actually help people with it the right way.
well, I went into healthcare believing that I would make a difference, but I think, such a small difference in such a broken system that it was so frustrating. So I did the best I could. Like, I sang to my residents, I did the best I could in making everyone's day, and like killing myself in the process, like double shifts and hurting my back because using the lifts, people are so heavy, and all these things. That's what gave me a lot of my health issues, actually, because after you hurt yourself so many times, you're less mobile, right? And then, so when I was less mobile, I gained a lot of weight, and then gaining the weight gave me more pain and more problems, and then it was like a vicious cycle, and I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about. Despite being in healthcare,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about preventive, like how to take care of myself and all that stuff. Like, no, it's just medication, medication, medication. That's all you knew, right? That's all you're trained. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, food? I don't know. I don't think food made a
Food
difference.
as medicine? That seems crazy.
I know, right?
What are you, a witch doctor?
I know. But my mom, like, looking at her, she's been doing yoga since I was little. And then looking at how she eats, she's very mindful. She has a meditation practice. Like, we used to make fun of her. I'm like, oh, mom, you're crazy. And then she wouldn't even go to the doctor, right? She's like, no, I know my body. I know what my body needs. I just need to ask myself what I need. And I believe that the answer is already like within me. That was a belief. And then, I'm witness to her health journey, right? And like, menopause was a no issue for her. Nothing. She's so active. She still gardens, maintains a huge garden, and all these wonderful things. She still helps me at the restaurant at 65 years old. And looking at that, I'm like, maybe I should be more like my mom.
So you were in healthcare, and I mean, I actually went in today to get some blood work done because I'm doing a whole blood detox, and so I wanted to get my numbers before I go into it, and I don't go into. I cannot remember the last time I went to an MD. It's been years, but I needed to get a blood requisition form, and just like being in that space, it's like like seeing the receptionist behind the desk, not healthy, And it's very easy to tell just by looking at the people that work there that they're not healthy. And this is not meant as a judgment, but it's literally the blind leading the blind,
Yeah.
in that system. And it is a broken system. I mean, I call it the sick care management system.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
even the doctor that I saw, like as soon as he walked into the room, I'm like, I could help this person. If he really wanted to get healthy, I know I can help him.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was like, and even like everybody that walked into the clinic that I was in, you know, they're like struggling to breathe, struggling to move, just struggle. And as I sat there waiting to go see the doctor, I thought to myself, I am so grateful for my health. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw a video today about how if you're healthy, you have thousands of problems. You have all these problems, other problems, but as soon as you become sick or you fell ill, you only have one problem.
yeah, one
Nothing else.
problem.
So it's so important to be healthy so that you can take care of all these things. Otherwise, nothing gets taken care of. Everything is just gonna fall apart. And like I've seen it so many like around me, right? It's devastating. And you know what? I've learned so much to respect other people's journey because
Mhm.
I got to a point where I wanted to help these people more than they want to help themselves. And I was stressing out over it. I was really like taking on and all their struggles, like thinking that I'm responsible to help all these people, but I can't be.
Mhm.
They have their own journey. But like knowing what we know about what we've been doing to maintain our health, to heal ourselves, and then you look at the people who are struggling and you're like, oh man, if only they knew.
Yeah.
Only they knew, right? It's so sad. And sometimes I feel helpless, but then I had to take a step back and I remind myself, that's their journey. You have to honor that.
Mhm.
So, and then I come back to my peace.
Yeah, and it's also about like leading by example so that hopefully, you know, as people see you and they see how much energy and vitality you have, they ask that question of like, what do you do? Like how are you healthy? Like that's we can't do anybody's journey for them. It's interesting because I was at a workshop yesterday and I have very few clients local to me, but one of my clients was actually in the room at that workshop, and she came up to me afterwards, and she actually had only done an initial consult, and I had sent her her protocol, and she never did her protocol.
Mm.
And I've reached out a couple times and just said, like, I'm here. If you have questions, I'm here. And she said, well, you know, I haven't really looked at the protocol and I don't I just didn't feel ready. And I said to her, I said, I can lay out the roadmap of the best, easiest, fastest way to get there. I can't I can't want your health more than you want it for yourself. And I'm here when you're ready to get started. And you know that's all I can do. And you see me in this room, like I'm still working on my health as well, aspects of it. I mean, it was a different type of conference, but in all honesty, I'm always refining, tweaking, working on my health. And as long as we're alive, we're always kind of working on it in some aspect, maybe no longer dealing with a chronic issue, but maintaining it's a
Absolutely.
lifestyle, right? It's not something you just do once and forget.
No, and this is the mistake that a lot of people make. It's not even a mistake. It's just a tendency for humans to do this. Like when they're sick, they're like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be sick again. Show me what to do." And then you show them what to do, and then they do. If they do end up listening, they do the protocol. They change their lifestyle short term. Then they get better, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm good now. Okay, bye bye." And then they stop doing whatever got them better.
Yep.
Then it's a cycle. It just never ends. It just continues over and over again, right? Even in my own family, I'm like, why did you stop doing yoga? Why did you stop this and that? Well, life got busy and blah blah blah. Well, you know, do you want to be forced again by circumstances and by your health to have to go back to that? I'm like,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
in my own journey, though, I had to be bedridden 3 times before I finally listened and committed to
Yeah.
help, right? After my like back injury, like 3 times I was bedridden. The first time I got so depressed, I gained so much weight and I got even more depressed. Second time, I was like, seriously, really? You know, I'm like, oh my God, okay, this time I listen, you know. And then the third time I was actually laughing because I'm like, okay, it's my fault. I know why I got here again. I'm like,
Okay, universe.
yeah, and literally, I was like talking to my guides, and I'm like, I got the message. I promise you, this is the last time I'm gonna be bedridden. Okay, I promise. And I haven't broken my.
Your angels in the background taking bets.
You know what? I feel like I know you probably want to smack me right now. I'm listening. I'm listening. I promise. So it's been how many years now? It's been, I don't know, at least 10 years maybe of daily yoga, you know, meditation, and 10 years coming up, plant-based, like vegan in
Yeah.
April. So it's been quite a journey. And you know what? That making sure that I can trust myself. And one way of doing that is making sure that you don't break the promises you make to yourself,
Yeah.
right? That's really important for me. So when I say that I'm committed to my own health and well-being, make sure that I'm aligned with that belief, right? It's in action. And so every morning, you know, I'm in
I
my.
want to come do yoga at your house. Like that looks like a great space. I mean, my yoga space is not as fancy as that.
Well, you know, the basement, I just converted it to like a wellness space. So my husband comes here. We have the inversion table, the Pilates reformer, yoga mats, and you know, Pilates mats, and all kinds of stuff. And it's here. Weights. I have blocks. Everything is here. Everything I need is here.
Well, I mean, in our house, we've got an infrared sauna, home gym, but it's the layout isn't as nice. But okay, before we get to that, so third time flat on your back. Um, we have met in real life. There's a lot of people that I talk to online and do interviews with that I haven't necessarily met in real life. But you mentioned to me that you did carnivore. And
Yes,
I'm
I did.
curious to know how did you find it? How long did you do it for? And what got you to come to your senses?
So growing up in Indonesia, okay, you have to be flat on all sides for people to like look at you and consider you beautiful. Okay. I don't know why they think flat from all sides is beautiful. No curves. They don't want any
Like
curves. Okay. I
size
think
00,
that's
double zero.
so things have changed now, I'm sure, you know, but the influence of the Western culture. I have a Russian family. So, like on my dad's side, we're taller and we're bigger bones. Okay. My bones are bigger than my husband John's. Okay. And so I was always teased for being big, right?
Mm.
And then you know what's funny? Looking back at my childhood photos, I wasn't big. I was just taller than the average, you know, but I wasn't fat. But people didn't accept me. They everywhere I went, no matter who it is I ran into, they always say to my parents, "Oh, your daughter is, you know, so big. She's big. Why is she big?" Like, you know, you can't help but growing up and that's all you hear all around you, right? And then
Mhm.
I moved to Australia and I was like, I'm not big. I was slouching to the point where I developed scoliosis, which I didn't know I had scoliosis growing up. So in Australia, I was trying to fit in. Everybody was taller, and so I tried to straighten up, right? But I was hunchback before. So I had a lot of self-esteem issues. So I was always dieting. was always dieting. And then when I moved out of my parents' house and lived on my own, moved to Oshawa, oh, I'm on my own. Nobody's telling me what to do anymore. So I can try out all these diets. So I've done the army diet, whatever, the 3-day hospital diet where you eat like 500 calories a day or barely. Done that, and then low carb and all that stuff. So I was always on some type of diet, juicing, the smoothie diet, whatever. But I love food so much, and I loved meat. Okay, Indonesian dishes are so delicious, especially the meat dishes. So when like the keto carnivore thing started, coming on, the low carb, and then people were like, oh, I lost weight, no, low carb, and you can eat steak and bacon. And I was anemic. My doctor said, oh, you need to eat more liver, more red meat, because you need that heme iron. I'm like, I can be on board with that, sure. I love steak. I don't really love bacon, but I love liver. So I'm like, oh, let me try it. Let's do it. I love rice too, but I love meat more, right, than the carbs. So I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I can live with that. So I did intermittent fasting, and then I plateaued. I did intermittent fasting, I think, for almost 2 years, I want to say. And in the middle of that, I started doing low carb as well. So keto and carnivore, like very heavy meat diet. And I developed like arthritis, diabetes, joint pain, chronic migraine. Like, sure, I lost weight. I lost like 20 pounds, and then I just plateaued. Like, I felt better. You lost 20 pounds, you feel better regardless, right?
Yeah,
But
because it's less stress on your joints.
exactly. But then I still woke up in pain. And then, like, I was anemic, which is shocking how much red meat and liver I eat. I was still anemic, right? It was mind boggling. And then, like, I had PCOS. And I had hormonal issues, PCOS, endometriosis, like painful periods, like debilitating.
Wow.
So they wanted to put me on hormone therapy, like pills and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of extreme, like, do I really want to start this? Maybe not. So I think it was 2011, January 2011. And I just kind of, after my last specialist appointment, I was at the doctor's office every couple of months, getting like ultrasound, getting some blood work, getting some, like, trying to figure out why I was still anemic, why I have all these problems, right? And then I was always so congested. I overdosed on decongestants where I couldn't breathe without it. I was so dependent on it. So I was like, this is not good. This is not good. 30 at that point. So yeah, and then I became diabetic. I'm like, how? I don't like sweets. I don't like desserts. I don't eat I didn't eat barely ate carbs. How could I be diabetic? It's impossible, right? Well, years later, now that I learned about gluconeogenesis, right, where if you're eating such high protein diet, your liver can convert the protein into sugar, into glucose.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So yeah, when I went plant-based, and I didn't even know about the health aspects of going plant-based. It was a spiritual calling for me. And I was teaching yoga, and I just felt a conflict. And I have dogs, and it was like
You
something.
mean ahimsa hit home?
Ahimsa finally hit home. You think it would hit home like earlier, because I was surrounded by these yogis, and a lot of them are vegetarian and vegan, right? I love vegetarian food, but I didn't know if I could go vegan, right? Um, but I always admire people who like could stop eating meat. The only time I didn't eat meat was on, like, during Lent, on the Fridays. That was the only days where I didn't eat meat, but I was still eating fish. Like, we would eat fish. So I went vegan, um, overnight, and I remember, I think it was 2 months. I was still eating a lot of like fall meats and like, whatever processed things. As long as they're vegan, like I was eating them. But I released 15 pounds, and then my pain went away. I woke
Mm.
up and I cried because I didn't have pain. Because my husband has been like massaging my hands and my feet every morning and every night. And he would like yell out to me, he's like, honey, I don't know, you're so young, but why are you limping going up the stairs? Like I love you, but I think you need to do something different. Like he has no filter. John has no filter. He would say like, you're too fat. He would tell me. He would tell me. Well, I was 50 pounds overweight too. I was 50 pounds heavier. So yeah, that's I went on a roller coaster of like ruining my health, and it took a long time to finally get back to my optimal self.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get it. It's a journey. Yeah, she's still married. Anybody watching, she's still married. But that like what a lot of people don't realize is that that much animal protein is so inflammatory and your body literally can't do anything with it
Yeah.
because most of it just ends up as waste. And when it's waste, it just creates stress on your gut and your kidneys and your liver. It's just a lot of stress. And so what initially inspired you to actually go plant-based?
It was, the ahimsa, and then I've been having dreams and visions. But I didn't quite understand what it meant. And, like I meditated and I asked, please clarify, please help me understand what I need to align. What is it that I'm not aligning with? Right. And so my friend dragged me on her birthday to a psychic fair. And I never went to see psychics. I don't believe in that stuff because I don't want them to have a negative thing to say, and then it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because
Mhm.
I'm a hypnotherapist, so I'm very aware of the subconscious, things that you plant in the subconscious mind will play itself out, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you don't want anything negative planted in there. So over there, she dragged me, and then somebody I knew was there. And then all of a sudden, like she dragged me and she's like, I have a message for you. And I was like, half an hour later, I was like, okay, I'm vegan. It pretty much clarified. Like she was like, have you been having like visions and dreams? And like, yeah, how did you know? I'm like, well, I think what it's trying to tell you is that you need to go vegan because you need to raise your vibration and
Mm.
you need to align with whatever it is you're teaching. You're teaching about love and compassion, yet you don't practice it. And I was like, oh, this is the kick in the butt that I need. Okay. And meanwhile, not long before that, I had posted on Facebook a butter chicken, raw vegan butter chicken recipe. And I posted it, the link, and I said, ew, this is disgusting. I could never go vegan.
So the raw
I posted
vegan,
that, like, there are my words, eating my own words, right? I was
you know
like,
what they
okay, so we
say?
went for dinner. Jack asked her, what?
Well, you know what they say, never say never.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? So I had my last burger that night. And, I went home and I told my husband, I'm going vegan starting tomorrow. And he just laughed at me. You know why, though? Because I had to have animal protein in every meal and snack. I was like obsessed and addicted to animal protein. Like we would go on vacation, we would go places, and I have a food addiction, right? So it's bad enough that I'm always thinking about food. The food noise is like unstoppable. And so, and to have meat in every dish, he was disgusted by it actually, because he loved vegetables. And he only ate meat because he thought that he should have some sort of animal protein for health. Okay.
Yeah.
But whenever we went out, I would order my steak medium, like still bleeding. And he would always say, butterfly it and burn it. He always said that. And then
Yeah.
chicken, whatever. I always thought my chicken was not well done enough. So whenever I would cook chicken, he would be microwaving it after, because he's like, I don't think that's cooking up. I can still see the blood. Like, he's so grossed out by animal protein. But
Yeah.
he was only eating it because he believed that he needed it. So he was
Yeah.
laughing at me at the same time, but he was also happy that I was making tofu and tempeh and all that stuff, like just substituting the meat. He's like, oh yeah, yes, veggies, all vegetables. He was so I was trying to like make two different kinds of food. The Indonesian dish that's meat for him, and then after a couple of days, he's like, enough, enough. Just cook whatever you cook with the tofu and the tempeh. I'll eat that because I like those. Don't have to cook meat for me. That's what he said.
Nice.
So, but whenever we would go out, like, he would order his beef or whatever. And it wasn't long even after that he's like, since I've been eating mostly vegan, because at home I would cook vegan, and then the odd times it would go out, he would order that, he would notice he wouldn't feel well.
Yeah.
Like, his digestion, he noticed the difference. And like, oh no, I don't. And then I noticed not long after that, whenever we go out, I always say, oh, you're gonna order your beef? That's fine, whatever. I'm fine with it. And he's like, no, just tofu. That's how it started. And then now he hates all the labeling, so he would never like label himself. But he would be the first, like, I think there's milk in this. I think there's this and this. Like, even if we go to like a non-vegan restaurant, he'd be grossed out and like, is it fried in the same oil as the meat and stuff? And it'd be like, yeah, no, I don't want it.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, it was like, honestly, it's so much better when you're both on the same diet and lifestyle. It's so much easier.
It is. It's definitely a lot easier. You've met my other half, Michael. Like,
Yeah.
we do the same thing, and it makes it a lot easier. Although last year I did 111 days of juicing and superfoods. I was kind of on my own for that. But generally we'll do protocols together. We'll talk about like what we want for meals the week ahead. We kind of plan. But I love that. So now you have a plant-based restaurant, Mathildas, and then you're about to open a second location, which is going to be
Yeah.
5 minutes from my house.
No,
And
crazy.
then you have your own sauces. You have meals, like prepped meals that go into stores. You're kind of like you're a little enterprise.
Yeah,
You're a plant-based enterprise.
I am. Yes.
So never say you're not going to go vegan.
Never say never. Okay. Because I believe that, whatever you're triggered by, or whatever you're turned off by, at some point, whether in this lifetime or the next, or maybe in the previous lifetime, you'd be like in it, deep in it. Just to kind of have that experience, right, of like being in it, like even like when somebody's like racist or sexist or something, they would have a live review, and then they might come back as the other side, just to have that experience, so that they would go more and more towards non-judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
being hypnotherapy and all that stuff has enlightened me a lot, about having less judgment. I mean, we won't escape judgment completely because that's human nature, right?
Yeah.
But we can always like take a step back and just, I shouldn't judge, that's why I will never judge people who still eat meat, um who believe that they can't go vegan, because I was there, because I've
Yeah.
been there and I know what they're going through, right? Sometimes it takes really, really deep rock bottom before you have that courage and that strength to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, diabetes, PCOS, endometriosis, joint pain, weight issues, that's like boom, boom, boom. Your body is like 5 alarm fire trying to get you to change course. And I'm like you as well. I don't have judgment against people who are still eating animal products or whatever way they're eating, if they're still eating fast food and processed food, because I used to be that person and I didn't know any better. And once I understood how the body works and why this is optimal, like my goal really with sharing this information is that people take in this information and then just try it out. Like, try it out, see how you feel. Make sure you're doing it the proper way. Like, I'm a big advocate for not doing extreme anything. And even when I work with clients and we're transitioning them towards a plant based diet, I don't go overnight with anyone unless they're stage 4 or something like that. For the most part, we're just going slowly and taking it step by step and making sure their body adjusts and their elimination pathways are open and we don't flood the system with too much junk. But my goal is always to make it as easy and simple and as sustainable as possible. And I find that approach has worked well. And my desire is that people become curious. Like, if they don't feel good in their body, just get curious of like, okay, what else could I do? Like, what do I need to change? And then take the next logical step. Whether it's like, if you are blessed to live in the Durham region, you can go to Mathilda's and get some food.
And sustainable is the most important aspect of anything, any change that you're doing, right? Because, like, I've served hundreds of thousands of people over the last like almost 7 years. And I've seen that the ones that are either like too extreme or the one that are always doing some sort of cleanses, they seem to be the ones that have the most struggle, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for you to like restrict yourself so much, when you have no support, especially when you have no support. I would say, if you're, for instance, like raw vegan and you live in a raw vegan community, you're more likely to stick with that, right? So if you are not, you're surrounded by people who eat a lot of animal products, a lot of processed foods, unfortunately, you're going to break unless you're like a superhuman who can withstand and like stand alone. So I always say, add, instead of taking away, add. So how about today we add 2 or 3 servings of vegetables and fruits, right? And then
Mhm.
prioritize them. And then naturally, when you start feeling better, your digestion is working better, and you notice your health improving and things like that, then you'll be like curious, oh, maybe there's more to this, and then you'll be like, naturally, it's a more like effortless, natural
Yeah.
process. So that's what I find has been working with the people that I've seen day in and day out. Whereas a lot of the people that have become vegan, unfortunately, a few years later, they're no longer vegan because usually they don't have the support. And second, they don't know what to do, and they were eating just anything that was vegan. They don't have a balanced diet. And then the doctors blame their negative health outcomes on the vegan diet, right? And so,
Mhm.
no longer vegan. That's why I always say, especially to a lot of for the animals, so I don't care about my are no longer vegan because their health took a downturn, and then they needed, you know, the vegan diet always get blamed.
Yeah.
It's not like their stress level, it's not anything else. It's always like they always target the vegan diet because doctors don't know, right? I mean, there's more and more doctors now who are aware of it, like Dr. Phil Narini, who I'm partnering up with the cafe that we're opening in the medical center. He's been whole foods plant-based for 15 years, so he knows a lot about nutrition. I know a lot about nutrition now because of my experiences with my own health outcomes, and then I went down the rabbit hole of the nutrition and the research and everything. Now I know how to help people around me because so many people are struggling.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times too, when someone goes plant-based or vegan, but they're doing a lot of the processed foods, they're not necessarily getting the nutrients that they need because a lot of those foods they're processed and so they may not have a lot of nutrient density. The other thing is most people, what I find in my practice is in 8 years of doing this, 100% of people have adrenal issues. And so when you take away the animal protein that has like the animal hormones that are artificially propping up the adrenals, that's why people start to feel like really exhausted and they're tanked. It's because their adrenals are tanked, but they have to know how to naturally support their adrenals without going back to animal products. And there is a way to get the adrenals back online, but most people don't know that. And they don't understand that they were actually artificially supplementing the damage that they had done to their adrenals. And so it's just really a matter of like educating. And like anything, I think when someone wants to transition their diet, it's worthwhile to actually do the research and maybe even invest in working with a practitioner so that you're doing it properly and doing it in such a way that it is sustainable. And even if you are someone who lives around people who aren't vegan, once you know what to do, even when you're in that community, you're able to kind of do your own thing without necessarily getting pulled back into what everyone around you is doing. Because let's face it, most people around us are eating processed foods and frankenfoods, and they're just doing all kinds of damage to their body. We don't want to get peer pressured back into the habits that are not helpful. But once you understand, like for example, yesterday I went to go do this seminar and I didn't know what the food situation was going to be. So I just did what I always do, which is I brought some superfoods with me and I brought my quality filtered water with my molecular hydrogen bottle from home. And I'm like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I've got what I need. And then I was really happy when I got there that they actually had some fresh fruit. And I'm like, you give me some fresh fruit at a day long event, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm covered. Right. So but a lot of people don't know that. I mean, they, I mean, I talk to so many people that still think fruit is sugar. I'm like, it's not the same as a candy bar. It's so different in how your body looks at it that it's not even an issue.
I always tell people, you know, if anybody's telling you you can't eat fruits or certain vegetables, run. Just run.
Yeah.
Find somebody else.
Amazing. So, where can people find you? How can they connect with you in the online space? And then, if they are local to the Ontario region, how can they find you in person?
Well, I'm always at my restaurant. I work about like 80 plus hours a week, more now because, you know, we're getting all the ball rolling for this cafe. I'm working all the time right now. It's temporary. I keep telling myself that it's temporary.
It
Um,
is temporary, and I'm
and
very lucky that you managed to make some time for me.
so I'm always at my restaurant. Even when I open, I was there earlier today to prep some stuff. Um, Downtown Oshawa, 29 Simcoe Street South. And then in the summer, we'll be open in Whitby, the new Whitby Medical Center as well. And I post almost every day that I'm open. And even sometimes when I'm not open, I post things. And I'm always trying to educate the public about the new research out there and, like mental health, all these wonderful health and well-being, anything health related and wellness related. I'm a big advocate for that. And Instagram, Mathildas Inc. Facebook, Instagram is mathildas.ca, I believe. Yeah. And then the website, mathildas.ca. And yeah, just reach out, message or email me. I'm pretty reachable.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thanks for having this conversation. I'm really, really excited to get this information into the world, and hopefully the people that are local will come see you or even take a trip to come see you, because the food is totally worth it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting you and Michael. Always a pleasure. And there's a Veg Fest, by the way, Durham Region Veg Fest in Whitby in October. I've been promoting that. I've been telling everybody about that.
Right now, you're doing more promotion for it than I am. I need to get promoted.
I think so.
Yeah.
I promote all these stores. I promote all these like wonderful restaurants that have vegan options. I promote everybody, all the business, because you know what? Times are hard right now, and it doesn't take anything for me to just like mention a business or an event or something, especially if it resonates with that person, if it's what they need, right? What they're looking for. Why not? Why not? Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yeah. See you again soon. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye for now.